there's this game called Golf Plus. I'd stopped playing golf, for many years because golf, if you have ever played the sport, it's very time consuming, very expensive. And just who got time to be walking around the golf course all day? There's stuff to do. We got stuff to do. And so even though I took a golf class in college, and I kind of learned how to stand, how to twist my body, how to stroke the ball, and so I can kick it. I kick everyone's butt when we go play. What's that game? Where you go and you hit golf balls while you eat food. I forgot the name. It's something I forgot what it's called. But like sometimes people go there for like weddings and stuff where they'll like you go hitting and you eating a cheeseburger and hitting golf balls while you're hitting top golf. Thank you. I'm losing my words today. But top golf, like I usually kick everyone's ass at top golf. So just know that if me and you ever end up playing top golf together, it's about ready finna go down. You're gonna get second place at best, just because I'm the best top golfer amongst all my friends, and all my friends suck. So that means I get to be the king of all the crappy golfers. But anyway, so that's because of my class I took. Literally, I just know how to stand. I know how to get have my legs straight. I know how to twist my hips. I know how to keep my arms. The key is you got to keep that arm straight, and you got to keep your head down. If you lift your head up to look where the ball's going, it'll be a terrible shot. So anyway. I play Golf Plus now. And Golf Plus is a godsend because Golf Plus on the Metaverse actually re-engaged me and reminded me of how much I love golf. It really took me to a place where I was like, holy crap, I forgot how much fun this was. And because now instead of a round of golf taking like half the day, I can play in 20 or 30 minutes. And it's very realistic. It's extremely um, it's very comforting actually. It's very comforting. When I play around the golf, I can hear the birds chirping, the sun rising. You'll be playing on a golf course in Hawaii, and you'll look out in the water, and you'll hear the water hitting up against the rocks, and it's just very, very soothing. And on top of that, you get to have fun. I compete with thousands and thousands of people, and I don't. I keep thinking. I think there's a glitch in the system because I'm supposed to be getting first place, but there's clearly something wrong with the system because they keep telling me that I'm like, 3,243rd place, which that's just fake news. It's probably racism or something. Like it's probably white people. They don't want to see a black man thrive, succeed in this world. So I got to get that fixed. But besides that, it is a really pleasant experience. And so here is my thesis on why I believe metaverse investing is going to catch on. Here was the problem. When Mark Zuckerberg became very passionate about the metaverse and a deep believer in the metaverse, he even changed the name of the company to Meta because he believed so much in the metaverse. He kind of started it off on the wrong foot. If you remember, Zuckerberg put out his little avatar to show everybody, hey, I'm on the metaverse. Look at my little avatar. It's like a little digital Mark Zuckerberg. It looked absolutely terrible. It was so bad that it became memed. It became kind of a joke. It's like, okay, this is supposed to be the future. This is crap. And he launched something called Horizon Worlds, which ended up just not really doing so well. And I think there was a miscommunication in terms of what the metaverse is. So people thought, oh, if this is the metaverse, I don't want to do this. It's a bunch of goofy cartoon characters in this, and they maybe they visualize it being on their computer screen instead of it actually being on some sort of device. So now here's the interesting thing about the metaverse and why I believe in this is that I believe that Meta and a couple of other companies are deeply committed to playing this thing out. They're deeply committed to the fact that this is a 10, 12-year vision, and I think they've lost $58 billion investing in this. So in a way, it's kind of where Bitcoin was around 2014, 2015. Bitcoin looked ridiculous. Bitcoin looked like it could disappear at any moment. But you had these individuals, the hodlers, the people that hold on for dear life, who just kind of kept Bitcoin alive. Well, Mark Zuckerberg is kind of the metaverse version of the hodler. He's just every year dumping billions of dollars into developing this space. And I live in that space. I spend time in that space and I like the space. They've actually got spaces where you can put on the headset. My wife got me the headset for Christmas. I think she regrets it because I just think I'd have so much fun with it. Where you can meet your friends and have these really cool virtual meetings, and like I can meet all of you like on a planet or something in a spaceship, and we can literally have a meeting just like this. So at some point you will hear me announce like, "Hey, I'd like to meet everybody in the metaverse. Here's how you do it." The problem right now though is that it's still a little complex. It is not exactly user friendly. The glitches are still there a little bit. So it's like these early pioneering phases. But here's what I think is going to be the catalyst for mainstream adoption. They went from people doing the metaverse on their computer screens. Who wants to do that? That's boring. Then they went to people wearing these big, bulky, nerdy looking glasses. I'm comfortable being a nerd, but a lot of people are not. And so it's still a little bit weird. Like I can't get my parents to try it, even though I know that they would love it. But it doesn't matter. They're not gonna try it because they're older and they just sometimes old people just don't want to do new stuff. But I know they would love it, because my father loves golf and my mother loves like the beach. And I'm like, you can actually put this thing on and you'll feel like you're at the beach. Like they play because they understand senses only. There's only like what is it, five senses? Sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. So if you think about it, when you have an experience in life, you're pretty much usually only using two senses. There's really only two, right? If you go to Italy and you see Italy and you hear Italy, um, you might remember the smell, you might not, right? It's like if I blindfolded you and put you in Italy versus China, and I say, tell me if you can smell the difference. Some people could, a lot of people could not. Right. So it wasn't like the smell of China that made you want to go back. It was what you saw and what you heard. Also, most things that you see, you're not actually touching them. You're looking at them. Right. So I experienced the mountains by just looking over at the mountains. I'm not touching every mountain. I'm definitely not tasting the mountain, and I don't smell the mountain. I need to see it and hear it. You follow what I'm saying? So what they're doing, I think, which is very crafty and intelligent, is they are creating another reality where it's like, oh, all we got to do is convince your eyes that you're seeing something, which they've done that. They've nailed that part. And then convince your ears that you're hearing the thing that you're seeing. And then they've also got these things. My wife's gonna get me one for Christmas. She thinks I don't know what she got it in the box down there. She's trying to surprise me, but she don't. I know what she got, and I know that Santa Claus didn't bring it. She did. And so there's this thing called a haptic suit, and I asked her for it. I wrote a letter to Santa Claus, which it's really Alicia. And so I'm getting this haptic suit, and this haptic suit is cool because what it does is it allows you to go in the metaverse, see things, hear things, and feel it. Like so when the monster punches you in the chest, you feel it. Or if someone shakes your hand or pushes you or touches you, you feel it. Or you're on a roller coaster, you feel a little bit more. So this is where things are going. And it's only going to get more interesting over time. And the thing that I think is going to push it over the top is now they've gone from the laptop screen to the eye goggles, and now they're down to the Ray-Ban sunglasses, the really cool Ray-Ban sunglasses. So now you don't have to be a nerd like me to enjoy the metaverse. You can actually be cool like me. Some people think I'm cool. Did you know that? Yeah. Some people think they're like, man, you're. I kid you not. Five times in my life, I've heard people say, someone specifically say, that meeting you is more important than meeting Michael Jackson or Prince. I couldn't believe it. I think some people think I'm kind of cool. And so here's the thing. So you can be cool and do the metaverse. That means you can wear these sunglasses, you can look at stuff, and you blend AI in there. Chat GPT now can see stuff and tell you what it's seeing. Did y'all know that like you can take your Chat GPT, and I was in the car the other day with my son. I turned on the AI. I'm holding the AI up as I'm driving. I say, "What do you see right now?" She said, "Oh, I see a bunch of cars and I see da da." And then I pointed at him. I said, "What do you see now?" She said, "I see a person that's driving. Is that you, Dr. Watkins?" That's what the AI said. Is that you? I said, "No, that's not him. That's not me. That's my son." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And I show, and or you go on a trip and you take a picture of something, you load it into AI. I went to Dubrovnik in Croatia, which is beautiful, by the way, and it's where the Game of Thrones was shot. I took a picture of some steps. I said, these steps look familiar. I took a picture of the steps. I said, which scene of Game of Thrones were these steps used in? And the AI goes, oh, this was used in the scene where the queen was being shamed publicly, and they said, shame, shame, shame. If you watch Game of Thrones, you know what I'm talking about. It's a famous scene. And the AI knew how to do that, right? So my point is to say that the future is coming and the future is here. And I believe that when you blend AI with the metaverse and then you throw in that cool factor, now that people can put on Ray-Bans and be in the metaverse, I think that's what's going to help this thing really pop off. And where Zuckerberg is right, And I have a mixed relationship with Zuckerberg. Because I had 800,000 followers on my Instagram page, and they took my Instagram page down. So literally, you're talking about somebody who's been really angry at Facebook, and because they don't even answer the phone, and so I couldn't get my followers back. But I have you, so that's all I need. Um, but literally, the good side of that, in that vision that I respect, is that he's sticking to it and he's putting money behind it, and I believe it's going to pay off. So if you want to know, one place I put some money this morning, there is a Metaverse ETF. The ticker symbol, you can write this down if you're interested in taking a look. This is not investing advice, of course. Y'all know I gotta always say that for the haters in the world who think that I'm telling people what to do. I'm not telling nobody what to do. Is METV, METV, METV is the Metaverse ETF. And in fact, actually, what I'll do is I'll text you guys. I'm going to make a more thorough list of different Metaverse investments that you could consider making if you want to get involved in this space. And I'll text that out to you. So if you're not on the text list yet, make sure you get on there. To be on the text list for this class, text the word morning, MORNING, on your phone to the phone number 87948. Text morning to 87948. Now, one thing that I want to do really quickly is I would like to ask if we could take a little break and do like 5 minutes for you to do me a tiny little favor. I'd like for you to fill out a very brief survey on this class. We started this class at the beginning of the year. This is the first time I've ever done a class where I've talked to everyone every single day, because the goal is to form financial habits, and the way you form habits is you repeat yourself over and 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 over again, and that's how you develop culture. Culture and habits are deeply connected, so that's why we do money in the morning. That's why we do this 7 days a week. Ain't no stopping unless I just cannot make it. But for the most part, I think it's been a lot of fun. It seems to have been very successful, and I just want to make it better. And I also would like to get feedback on ways we can help you more. So there's about 12, 13 questions on this survey. If you could fill the survey out for me very, very quickly, we could take like a little bathroom break. And I would appreciate that quite a lot, because one of the goals that we have here in the Black Business School is when we started everything that we do, we literally committed ourselves to being what Jeff Bezos refers to as customer obsessed. And so one of the rules that we had is I said, look, let's be obsessed with what people want. Let's think about the people that we're serving, figure out how we can help them, and hope we can form a relationship with them to let them know how serious we are. We're into substance. We're not just trying to be flashy Negroes. We're actually trying to solve problems. And so that's why we bring in our scientists. That's why we look at the data. We talk to you consistently to get a finger on the pulse of where you are and how we can serve your family and take you and your people to the next level. So I'm gonna put this survey in the chat. Somebody's asking, where's the survey at? It's a great question, Daryl. I'm asking myself that same question. So let me grab this survey for you guys. And if you could take just 5 minutes and fill this sucker out for me, I would certainly appreciate it. And to just tell you how unprepared I am, I'd had it. It was here. What had happened was it was here, and then it wasn't here, and now it's here again. So I got it, and I'm gonna put this in the chat. And then I'm gonna come back in 5 minutes, and then we'll continue the class. All right. So here is the survey. Let me know. Give me a yes if you see it right there. I'll keep on putting it in here so you guys can grab it. So just hit that link. And if you could fill it out really quickly, I would really appreciate that so much. Thank you to Mika and Ida and Mo Lewis and Alicia. I appreciate you very, very much. So let's come back in a second. I'm gonna run to the bathroom. All right. All right. Let's jump back in and get started again. Okay, so thank you all for filling out the survey. If you didn't get a chance to see it, or maybe you're on your phone, I did actually set it up to text out to you guys later on this afternoon. The survey really helps us in terms of knowing how we can best support what you're doing, and also it helps us collect information in terms of how we're going to set up the Black Economic Elevation Summit. We are going to do that, and that's going to happen in the springtime. So we've already started making the plans. We've already talked to the team, and so a lot of you have requested meeting together in a collective space. So Los Angeles is going to be where it's at because Los Angeles is warm, and I figured you'd rather be warmer than colder. Let me know if you got it done. Just type a done in the chat. I see Carmen and Rochelle, Shadi Brooks. Thank you. Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. So I'm seeing the duns coming through. Great. Thank you, Karen Millhouse, Valentina, Errol Semengal. I appreciate it. Felton, uh, great to see all of you, and I appreciate that. All right. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today was this thing. I did a little survey on my Twitter, and my Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins one, Dr. Boyce Watkins one. And on Twitter, what I wanted to know was I wanted people to share their biggest financial mistakes, and us to kind of talk about this. Like a part of the way to optimize your life economically is to learn from the mistakes of others. I grew up around some people that didn't always optimize their lives in the way that they wish that they had. A lot of the guys, the men especially that I grew up with, they made a lot of mistakes. And I grew up hearing a lot of people saying, "Well, like you get that uncle that's holding a beard, is like, hey boy, don't do what I did, don't be like me," And I felt kind of sad about that now that I think about it, because it's got to be tough to have to be honest enough to tell a kid like don't be like me. Like that's, if you talk about self-hatred, that's pretty deep, right? I wouldn't, if someone asked me and they said, "Would you want your daughter to marry a man like you?" I'd say, "Yeah, absolutely." I think I'm okay. I like who I am. And so the idea that so really makes me think about like sometimes how you have rappers that are really picky about who their daughters hang out with because they don't want their daughters to date a man that's like them. They don't want their child to run into the 21-year-old version of themselves. If you remember, anybody remember that when the rapper T.I. was checking his daughter's hymen to make sure she was a virgin? He had to verify that he made a joke about it. I assume it was real. Yeah, and he was literally talking about checking his daughter's body parts to make sure that she really was a virgin, because I thought to myself, I said, yeah, because I've known your music a long time, and if your daughter dated a man who thought the way you thought 10, 15 years ago, it would probably make you very upset, right? So I think sometimes we have to treat others the way we'd want to be treated ourselves, and remember that that's somebody's daughter, and I think that's important. So anyway, with that said, um, I think about the way we can learn from the mistakes of others, right? We can learn when people are honest enough to tell their stories, so that you don't make the same mistake. And so rather than feeling the shame of saying, "Man, I messed up," I honor people who say, "Yeah, I messed up." And this is knowledge, right? This is, remember, as a college professor, one thing I know for sure is that your best knowledge doesn't come from a damn book. The world is a classroom. The earth is a university. So knowledge is everywhere, even from the people who didn't make the right choice. Like a lot of times people will say, "Well, how are you going to tell me not to smoke when you smoke yourself?" Well, that probably overqualifies them to tell you not to smoke because they know the consequences of smoking. Do you see what I mean? Like, oh, you used drugs when you were my age, so how can you tell me not to use drugs? Well, because I use drugs and I know that that's not what you want to do, right? So long story short, mistakes are a great training ground. And so I'm going to read some of these mistakes that were listed on my Twitter. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins one. If you want to join the conversation at any point, feel free to hop in. I post stuff all day. Just be ready to be offended. I usually offend everybody at least twice a week. All right. So Tony Robo says that his biggest financial mistake was buying a semi truck during COVID. Okay. Let's see. Larry says investing blindly with a family member, and it cost me 5 or 6 years worth of savings. Oh. Oh, that just chills down my spine. I put a video. Check out my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. I put a video up this morning where a lady was going through all the grim statistics of startups and how likely you are to lose everything if you put all your money into a startup. We have this I can't, I'm messing the word up, but we romanticize starting a business. We're like, oh, we're gonna start this business. We're gonna put all our life savings into it. It's gonna blow up because I went to, a seminar and they told me you got to follow your dream. You got to follow your passion. You can't never give up, right? And it's like church, right? And we get caught up in that emotionally. And I think that that is true. I think following your dream does matter. I think consistency and relentlessness and persistence is great, but after the feel good speech is over, there has to be some degree of measure and discipline that's applied when it comes to the implementation of whatever it is you're trying to do. And yet you can't just go in there and think the Holy Ghost gonna carry you through a dumbass situation. Right? Like the Holy Spirit ain't gonna get you through every single horrible choice we can make. There is something called sort of calculated risk that has to be applied. Right? Calculated risk means that I say, okay, I'm not gonna be scared. I'm not gonna let fear make the decision for me, but I'm also not gonna let stupidity take over the car either. I'm not gonna replace fear with dumbassedness and put myself in a situation where I lose everything, taking an unnecessary risk. In finance, we define risk very specifically in the field of finance. Risk can be measured in a lot of different ways. And one thing about risk is there is something in finance that we refer to as an efficient risk versus an inefficient risk. Efficient versus inefficient. Efficient means that you thought it out, you understand the downside, you've done the trade-offs, and you feel like, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to go ahead and take this chance because I think that the upside outweighs the downside, and I have a plan in case it doesn't work out. Inefficient risk is where you just betting it all and you ain't even got to. Like, and I see a lot of inefficient risk. Like there's no reason why your whole damn life savings has to go into your cousin's liquor store. Why does it have to be the whole life savings? Why can't you do 10% of the life savings or 5% of the life savings and say, we'll see if we want to go to stage two? You dip your toe in the water. You don't jump in because the swimming pool might be filled with acid. So don't jump the whole body in the swimming pool. You dip your toe in. Then at the very least you're gonna lose a toe, but at least you can still walk and you're not dead. So really, and in entrepreneurship, they have this term called MVP, minimum viable product. Minimum viable product is where you spend as little money as possible just to find out if there's something there, if it works, if there's proof of concept. A lot of us don't do that. We'll dump everything into something and then sit back and pray, and that's not a good way to invest. That's how people lose everything. So when I saw this brother mention that he spent all of his savings starting this business, I said, yeah, that happens all the time because startups typically fail. But startups must exist. You must have startups in an economy for you to build businesses. There would be no, without somebody taking the chance on a startup, there would be no Microsoft, there would be no Facebook, there would be no Walmart. So startups are necessary, but you have to be really careful about how you approach that. My brother works with a company that manages billions of dollars and with investing in startup businesses. My brother Lawrence, he actually helped me start the Black Business School. Now he's doing some other things too. He's still involved with the Black Business School too. And one thing about venture capital investments is that your odds of losing your money on a given investment are quite high. So you really want to kind of be careful with that. Another thing, let's see. Intrusive Savage says, I invested in meme coins, my whole savings. Oh gosh. Yeah, see, investing's good, but meme coins are not. Meme coins are, a lot of meme coins are scam coins. Did y'all know that after the crypto crash, literally, I think they said there were 12,000 cryptocurrencies that went bankrupt. 12,000. So crypto is good, but putting all your money in crypto is not good. And coins can be good, but meme coins are not always good. They're basically it's an inefficient risk. And when you talk about inefficient risk, I used to sort of cringe when I would do stuff with Damon Dash. We did this cool thing. It was fun. It was called Intelligent Boss Moves. And we talked about investing from different perspectives because people actually joke that me and Dame kind of look alike and our birthdays are almost alike. And we really established a great friendship. He would jokingly say that he was like my big brother because he's like 2 weeks older than me or something. And it was a joke. I like the guy a lot. I really do. But one thing that used to make me cringe a little bit was he would talk about his investing style and he would always use the term "I bet it all." I bet it all. I bet it all. And I would just kind of move my butt in my seat and say, "Well, you ain't got to bet everything, do you? You ain't got to bet it all, do you?" Because what's going through my brain is everything I learned about risk. And sometimes when you take a risk, the willingness to take the risk is quite admirable, but then you got to ask yourself, do I really have to go die on that hill to fight a good battle? Hey, just because you're ready to be a soldier don't mean you got to go volunteer to be on the front line every damn time, right? Maybe you can be a good soldier in some other way, or maybe you can be a good soldier by avoiding the battle that's going to cause you to have to die on that hill, right? Good soldiers understand this. They understand. They say, "Look, I ain't scared to die, but I don't want to die." I'm not scared for the fight, but I'm not looking for a fight. Do you understand? So I think that balance is extremely important when you talk about investing, because a lot of times when we go to those extremes, that's when people form a bad relationship with investing, is because they have that experience and it doesn't go well. Investing is a lot like sex. There are people that have great experiences when it comes to sex, but sex can easily turn into a bad experience if you're in the wrong situation. So if your first sexual experience is with somebody who loves you, who does a good job, who's very attractive to you, then that could be a good, memorable experience. But it could be a bad experience if your first time having sex happens at a Diddy party. Then at that point, you're traumatized for life because we don't know what Diddy put in that baby oil. So just be really thoughtful about that when it comes to investing. Investing is good, but it's not always good. You have to make sure you calculate your risk carefully. All right, so Be Non-Human says, I'd asked my stockbroker in the 90s or 2000s to invest in Chipotle stock, which had an IPO. I was investing $10,000. Oh, wow. At an IPO price of $20. The stock went up on the first day to $60. Next day, I called and found out the stockbroker left the company and did not execute the transaction. Well, that ain't your mistake. That's the broker's mistake. Oh my God. Chipotle. Oh my God. I bet $10,000 invested in Chipotle in 2000 would be worth probably millions by now. Chipotle stock is a beast. Oh my gosh. Um, let's see. GOH says my biggest mistake was supporting a liar for love and acceptance. I lost the better part of 20 years of my life, totally my fault. Okay, so this is interesting because he's talking about his worst investment or his worst decision was not so much just a financial decision. It probably impacted his finances, but it was actually a bigger investment, which is an investment of time, energy, and love. Remember, you've been investing your whole life, whether you put out any money or not. Most of your biggest investments you'll ever make in your life have nothing to do with money. That's so, when I invest in my kids and when I invest in my family, when I invest in my health, when you're investing time to be here, you're investing energy in the things that you care about. That's going to mean more to you when you get older than how much money you spend. I promise you, when you get on your deathbed, you ain't going to be thinking about your 401k. You're going to be thinking about all of the people that you interacted with in your whole life and maybe wishing that you had done things different or wondering what things would have been like if you'd gone a different path. That's what happens when people get old. I've studied this kind of thing. Right? This is what they always say. All right, so let's keep going. Paul says his biggest mistake financially was he got rid of gold when it was $350 an ounce. Yeah, that's a big mistake. And that's what happens a lot of times. A lot of times we sell too early. A lot of people sold their crypto early. They sold Bitcoin when it was 30,000 or 10,000 or 20,000. And that's where perspective just kind of becomes extremely important because it's very easy to think that when Bitcoin was at 8,000, that it was never going to go up any further. That 8,000 is the highest it can go. And that is doubled down. That emotion is doubled down on when you see it go from, say, 8,000 down to six. Then you're like, oh my God, it's down to six. That means it's going to eventually go down to zero. And this is where you have to manage your anxieties. This is where you have to manage your emotions extensively and make a decision on who the hell you are and what is it? What is the goal? What are you trying to do? What was the plan? What was the game plan in the beginning? And when you establish the game plan in the beginning, it makes you a better investor because you're not trying to predict things that are unpredictable. It was very hard to really know where Bitcoin was going to go when it was in its infancy, especially when it was at 8,000. You didn't know it was going to go to 106,000. Of course, if you knew that, you would have stuck with it, but you didn't know it. So maybe some of you sold, maybe some of you didn't get involved, whatever it is, right? But I will tell you that when it comes to investing in something, I think you have to kind of just decide who you are and what you're trying to be. Like so, for example, I decided many years ago, about 1999, that I'm going to commit to being a free black man, whatever that meant for me at the time. And a free black man partly meant I'm not bowing to these folks. I'm not letting you judge me for being too black. I'm not letting you tell me I'm a bad person, even though I don't think I am. I'm not worried about none of that. I'm just like, no, this is who I am. And I know that with that lifestyle choice, I have to be loyal to it. My best chance of succeeding in that lifestyle choice was to stick with it and commit to it, not flip flop back and forth, not live in the closet. It's very, very hard to do that. To become schizophrenic as a means of survival. And I think that happens for a lot of black people. When we make jokes about code switching and all this other stuff, that breeds, in my opinion, a type of mental illness that we endure. And then when you're stressed out and you got heart disease and diabetes and having strokes and heart attacks and high blood pressure because of the stress you're going through, I think that that plays a part into it. Almost like a person that's gay pretending to be straight. And you see how happy they are when they're like, look, I spent 20 years. I met a guy like that once. He told me he spent 25 years reading the Bible from cover to cover, trying to learn how to not be gay. Like that was, and I was listening and I was like, wow, you did that. That's amazing. And he had three kids with his wife. And he said, I couldn't take it no more. He said, so eventually I divorced my wife, got my boyfriend, and I'm happy. He said he was happy. He said, I've never been happier. And I couldn't help just from the energy that came out of him. I couldn't help but to be happy for him, right? And again, I know that that's a controversial kind of topic, but I really think that choosing what you want to be as an investor or as a wealth builder is really important because then you have a philosophy that you can go back to that'll keep you from being wishy-washy, that'll make you consistent. Because the thing that you have to understand about any strategy that you take, whether it's investing or life, is that that strategy is never going to work all the time. It's never going to be a one size fits all where it's going to be perfect for every situation you could possibly run into. Sometimes your strategy is going to make you look stupid. It's going to make you feel stupid. Warren Buffett looks dumb a lot. He does. He does. He misses out on lots of possibilities and opportunities because he has a protocol. He has a process. He has a philosophy of investing that where he's not going to participate in the crypto, even if the crypto's going up. He's not going to participate in a lot of the tech stocks. He's not going to participate in a lot of industries that have really exploded because that is in contrast to his core philosophy. But by being consistent and sticking to that philosophy repeatedly, it's allowed him to have more wins than losses. Right. So in my own journey, for example, my decision to just be the black finance professor, not the finance professor who happens to be black. I'm not trying to be Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm trying to be Boyce Watkins. That means that I'm black first, and then I'll be everything else after that. That's I see things through the lens of blackness, period, and I speak on that, which means that certain opportunities will never be available to me, and I'm okay with that. But what it does is it opens up the very best of who you are and the best of what you can be. It gives you the best chance of success by being consistent so that at least you know who you are, the world knows who you are, and you're not responding to every little fad that comes along. So how does this link back to investing? Let's go back to that. So let's go back to that example earlier. So Bitcoin's at 8,000. You're freaking out. You're like, oh gosh, what do I do? What do I do? Do I sell it? Do I? Yeah, we do that. That's financial anxiety. By the way, my wife, who created our Black Financial Therapy department, wrote a whole workbook on how to deal with financial anxiety. Depression and anxiety are big in the therapy space. She's an expert on those things. And actually, remind me, I'll give you guys a link to her Mental Health Monday. She covers these things in Mental Health Mondays, and that's actually tonight. So I'll give you guys a link. Don't let me forget to do that. One thing about dealing with that anxiety is that I think that it's better when you decide in advance what kind of investor you are. So the hodlers in Bitcoin, who I just honor and admire so much, they're the people who just say, no, we believe in Bitcoin. This is what we do. This is where we put our money, and we're gonna go down with the ship. We're going to be consistent. We're not going to run just because things are looking tough. We're just here. And that may end up looking good for us. That may end up making us look bad, but that's just who we are and that's what we're going to do. Right? So if you are a hodler, then the decision is easy when the price goes down. When if you're a hodler, then when the price goes down, you say, "Oh, Bitcoin's cheaper now. Let me go buy some more." It's easy. The algorithm has already told you what you're supposed to do next. You don't have to wonder like, what do I do? I don't really get it right. In finance, you know what we call that? We call that market timing. Market timing is not only a bad investing strategy, but it will cause you to go broke and go crazy at the same damn time. All the research we studied, we have research, we did research papers on this. So we have the data that tells us what works and what doesn't. And one thing most financial scientists will tell you is that market timing doesn't typically work, and also, market timing can be extremely stressful. It's like a person who's trying to fit into every fad and trend that comes along to the point where they don't even know who they are. People like that tend to be insane, depressed. They become alcoholics and drug addicts because they've never shaped an identity. I had a cousin like that. He was black, but he kind of wanted to be white, and he didn't know who he was, and he was hooked. Eventually, he was hooked on drugs. Like that'll make you crazy, you know? So the point is, the question I would ask you is, who are you as an investor? What is your strategy? What is your philosophy? Are you a conservative investor? Are you a tech investor? Are you a crypto? Are you committed to crypto? Because if you are, then what happens is it's just like getting married. You know, when I married my wife and they say things like for better, for worse, and all that, well, I'm down with Alicia. That's it. I'm down with Alicia Watkins. That means if Alicia Watkins is on top of the world, then I'm on top of the world. If she's not on top of the world, then I got to carry that load as well. So pick what you're committed to and be consistent with that. And I think it doesn't guarantee success. That's the first thing I want to make sure you understand. But at the very least, it creates clarity. So you're not driving yourself crazy trying to decide what to do next or when's the right time to sell. And then when you make decisions, you just live with it. You live with it. You know, I owned a bunch of Bitcoin. I sold it. Ah, dang. Oh well. My algorithm told me to sell it, so that's what I did. Discipline in investing is extremely important. Most people don't have it. If you have discipline, then you will probably be far more financially successful than those who do not. All right. So one more thing. Let's go. I love these hearing these financial mistakes because I think they're important. And then what I want to do is read the top five financial mistakes that people make. Okay. So someone says, Mark Cericio says, honestly, getting my business stats PhD instead of stopping at my MBA and going to work in the private sector had a negative ROI. Yeah, that's true. A lot of people think that PhDs automatically make a lot of money, and that's not true. You got a lot of PhDs out here on welfare, and that make minimum wage. And one of the things I would say to these individuals, if I spoke to them, I spoke to my friend the other day. He's the president of the Black Doctoral Network, which is the largest organization of Black PhDs in the country. And I said, it doesn't make a lick of damn sense to me that you have people that are some of the smartest people on the planet who are financially struggling. That doesn't make sense to me because I'm sitting there thinking, but wait, you're a genius in biology or you're a genius in math, and you can't figure out how to go make some money. Like become a genius at that too. Learn that too. What in the world makes you? I mean, as smart as you are, how in the world could you be so limited as to think that the only way you can make money is if some university's paying you when there's literally trillions of dollars in this economy flying around? That's like a weird type of pimping slash Stockholm syndrome or something. I don't know where it would be categorized, but that's a mental health issue in my opinion. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not making fun of anybody because I've been in that. I've been caught in that trap too. But to me, if you're smart and you're this genius and you can solve problems and you can learn things, why don't you understand that making money is another skill you can learn just like you learn biology? Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Do y'all get what I'm saying? I want to take my time on that point so you understand this. Learning how to get money is a skill. Studies show that people that have money spend far more time learning how to make money than people who don't have money. It's a skill. It's not like a lottery. It's not like luck. Like, oh gosh, I hope somebody gives me a bunch of money. No, it's a skill. Just like if you asked me to start twerking, I would not be very good at it because I don't practice twerking. I don't watch videos on how to twerk. White women do. You see those videos for white women where they teach them how to twerk? They ain't working with nothing, but they show them how to bend their back and or bend their knees right and arch their back and how to do, and all that stuff. And like they learn. You gotta learn. So I don't twerk with Miley Cyrus. Like that's hilarious. Now you got me laughing. But really, like so the same way you can learn how to twerk, you can learn how to cook. You can learn how to whatever job you have, you probably had to get some certification to learn how to do that. Whether you are a garbage man, a nurse, or an attorney, you had to get training. So if your goal is to have more wealth, then why don't you train yourself on that? Why not spend time doing that? And why not require your children to spend time doing that? What part of the educational process skipped over our heads where we didn't realize that this is not an area where you just roll the dice and hope for the best? This is an acquired skill that you can actually learn. So that's what I would say to all my fellow PhDs out here. I get it. These universities are terrible. I went into finance. The reason I got my PhD in finance was because my mentor, Dr. Tommy Whitler, who's at DePaul University, he told me, he had a Porsche. And I was 19 and I wanted a Porsche too. And I said, "How did you buy this Porsche? You're only a professor. Professors don't make any money." And he told me that business school professors do make a lot of money. He said, "In fact, finance is the highest paying area in all of academia." And I said, "Oh, okay. Tell me more. Like, where do I sign?" And that in that moment, that's when I decided, okay, I think I'm gonna get me a PhD in finance. And so finance, when I got to Syracuse University, and this was when I made far less money than I make now, but when I came into Syracuse, this is why I had so many haters actually, because not only was I one of the few black people on that campus, but I was the highest paid assistant professor on the entire campus, and I was the highest paid associate professor on the campus, and I wasn't even an associate professor. Literally, you don't become an associate till you get tenure. I made more money than all of them because I was the highest paid person in the highest paid department, and I didn't even know that they hated me so much for this. I didn't even know that people knew how much money I made. I didn't even process it. I was like, do 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 do. But now I look back at that, I'm like, okay, no wonder y'all hated me. I probably hate on me too. So I went into that field specifically because I wanted to be able to make more money. But then I saw colleagues in other areas who were really smart, smarter than me, who were making like one third of what I was making. And I was like, that's terrible. So here's the thing though. You still live in the richest country in the world, and there is money out there. You just might have to acquire another skill to be able to go get a piece of that. What most people don't understand is that you don't have to become a millionaire in order to be able to breathe much better financially. A lot of times, just having a little side hustle that brings in an extra 2 grand a month can literally change your whole entire life. Like I have our house mortgage is I don't mind sharing it. It's not we don't live fancy or nothing. Me and my wife, we're not into that. Even though she's a little bougie, like she got a luxury car and she stays in these 5-star hotels and stuff. But for the most part, she's very frugal. And our house, our mortgage, like maybe 2,600 dollars, right? So think about this, right? So if I live in a house or a place where the rent is 12 or 1,300, and I want to live in a bigger house. And it's a big house. It said we have 6,000 square feet, right? And I want to live in a bigger house where the mortgage is $2,500 or $3,000. That little side hustle that maybe I create with my sibling, that I create with my spouse, that I create with my best friend could be the difference. That could make that extra money. And really, here's the thing: if you really push hard, it might become something that makes you an extra $10,000 a month. Now you're really rocking. Now a lot of the things that were expensive suddenly become cheap. The things that were unaffordable are suddenly within your reach. And then suddenly life is a lot different. And I really would say that for anybody that has education that isn't making the money that you want to make, you probably want to realize that there are spaces where you can decide what your salary is going to be, but you have to eliminate the middleman. The middleman is your boss. The middleman is the corporation that you work for. The middleman is the person that's signing your paycheck because they're deciding what your economic ceiling is going to be. And so I would encourage you to just sort of say, how do I get rid of this? Because this isn't going to work for me. Because in America, again, workers, even those who have lots of education, workers have a really hard time getting their fair share. That's just the way America's built. I can't fix that. I can only tell you what I see, and I can only encourage you and sort of ask you to go out and acquire the skill that will help you to do that. And I don't think you have to do it alone. If you get with groups of people together and you talk to those individuals, I guarantee you that eventually you will come up with your idea. It might not be your $1 million idea, but for some people, getting that $10,000 idea can make a difference, that $100,000 idea. So don't feel like you have to find the $1 million, $1 billion idea. Maybe the $100,000 idea would be pretty cool too. All right. So anyway, I'm done talking. Thank you guys for hanging out. I want to say thank you for filling out the survey. Those of you that came in late that missed the survey, I'd ask you to please fill it out. I'm texting it out this afternoon. If you're not on the text list for this class, pull out your phone, text the word morning, MORNING, on your phone to the number 87948. So text morning to 87948, and you'll get the survey as well as some other information. Number two, I'll send you guys a list of the metaverse stocks later on. I'll put a full list together, about five or six investments you can look at if you want to be investing in this metaverse thing. I think it's going to be big. Zuckerberg's making the investments. I believe that it's going to pay off for him. And here's the beauty of it: if it does pay off, it's going to be massive, because right now it's neglected, it's ignored, and that's the thing about investing. You want to get to the spot first. You don't want to show up when everybody else shows up. You show up before everybody else shows up. Like if you want to be married to Barack Obama, you can't go chase the man after he becomes president. At that point, all the women want him. You got to do like Michelle. You got to go date Barack when he's driving a hoopty, when he ain't got $20 on his credit card, when he ain't got two nickels to rub together. He's living in $1,000 a month apartment. That's when you get the Barack Obama, and then you watch him become president, or you encourage him. You don't try to get him after he's in the White House, because then that's too crowded, right? So the other thing too, one more thing tonight. We're meeting for the real estate club, drboycerealestate.com. Alan Bean, who does land development, you saw him the other day. He's going to actually be our special guest tonight. So if you want to see all the curriculum material in the real estate group, if you're interested in that kind of thing, just feel free to go to drboycerealestate.com. The first month is free, so that's drboycerealestate.com. And last but not least, Dr. Alicia, my wife, she's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. She's doing Mental Health Mondays. Remember, mental health is a critically important part of investing. Financial psychology is everything. Money mindset is everything. And so she's done a lot of great work in that area, particularly related to things like financial anxiety and all the other things that we kind of deal with emotionally as we're trying to make that plunge to become entrepreneurs or investors, things like that. So she does Mental Health Mondays. If you want to be notified when she does Mental Health Mondays, pull out your phone, text the word love to 87948. Text love to 87948. Love is the word that she likes because that relates to relationships, and she's very good as a relationship therapist. In order for you to build your wealth, for a lot of you to get where you want to get to, you might have to even deal with some toxicity in your own relationships. I know that it's very hard to build wealth when you're going through a divorce. It's very hard to build wealth when you're dealing with abuse. It's very hard to build wealth when you're dealing with toxicity and fighting your partner all the time. It's very hard to build wealth when you can't even get along with your own relatives. So she's really good at that kind of thing. And I encourage you to consider the tools of therapy if you really want to be a good investor, a good wealth builder, and just a good citizen in the earth. I mean, we need therapy everywhere because we know undiagnosed, untreated trauma is the number one reason that black wealth does not grow. And it's the number one reason why black businesses don't get developed. It's also the number one reason why our families are not what they need to be or what they used to be. Dr. George C. Frazier, who spoke at the All Black National Convention, he did a really great viral video where he was talking about the disappearance of the black family, and that it's a state of emergency, and that the black family has become an endangered species. And if the black family disappears, black wealth will be obliterated. You cannot build wealth in a community without families. No community's ever done this in the history of all humankind. You're not going to be the first. So anyway, that's it. So if you want to join for Mental Health Mondays with Dr. Alicia and her therapist, she brings in black therapists every week. Text the word love to the phone number 87948, and we'll send you a notification as well. So we have a lot of stuff going on in the Black Business School, and anything your family needs, we're here to help you. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. I'll see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern.